All right, moving on to the Internet weather report for this week. We have a couple of interesting ports this week. The first one is 135 TCP, which is the DCE RPC locator service in Windows. We've seen a good amount of activity in the last few weeks on this port, and of particular interest this week is that it's actually decreased somewhat. You can see in the graph here the last 30 days, and in the last day or so, we actually have a drop off in the number of scanning flows. So that's a decrease in traffic. Not quite sure what's happening here, but it is good to see. Majority of the sources from this are from a specific ISP in China, and it's for scanning from a static source port. So moving on, we actually have, I was very interested in that one Supermicro article and the particular port. So I took the liberty of looking at our flows for that port in particular, and in the last 30 days, you can see that actually it looks like on the 20th, the day after the article came out, immediately we started seeing some traffic for it. Now there's not that many scan sources. There's somewhere in the range of about 10 at the peak. But you can see that a significant number of flows are actually being generated by those small number of scanners. So someone's looking for this, and someone's looking very hard for it. So you can always sort of see when the new hot attack comes out. You know, when Heartbleed came out, we saw a similar kind of explosion in interest in SSL ports, and you can kind of expect to see this whenever something brand new that has, you know, it's such a rich attack vector. You'll see people who are immediately interested code something up that night and start scanning the next day. So interesting to see that. And next up is a little bit of a weird one. Port 7004 TCP, which is related to AFS and Kerberos auth service. AFS, I believe, is a file system which uses, I'm trying to remember the name, it's a KA server is the name for the particular server type in the scheme. And I think it's actually outdated. I think Kerberos 4 was the last version to use this. I may, if I have the technical details, I'm wrong. Someone, I'm sure, will email us and let me know that I'm completely borking this up. But I believe that they're looking for a very particular outdated version of Kerberos here. This is just from those last 7 days, a very short spike. The sources were from US, a very well-known cloud provider, and Latin America. So we do occasionally see these little one-offs. Shows that someone out there is interested in this port for a particular reason. Maybe they know something that we don't know, or maybe they're looking for a very old vulnerability that's sort of passé at this point, but always good to keep track of these kind of blips. Top 10 most probe ports for this week. 22 TCP is at the top of the list this week. Last week I think it was 135 with the lion's share, but it seems that they are down to number 2. 1433 is Microsoft SQL Server. 445 is, I believe, related to Samba. 23 is Telnet. 53 UDP is DNS. Skipping over ICMP, we have 8080 TCP, which is sometimes an alternate web port, but also known to be a web proxy port. So someone may be interested in finding open web proxies that they can abuse. Port 80 TCP is your standard web server, and there's a whole cornucopia of things that they could be looking for there. And 5900 TCP, I'm actually forgetting this one. Stan, do you recall?
I actually don't recall this. Was it 5000 TCP a few weeks ago that we were interested in?
5000 TCP, I think, was our Synology disk stations.
Something like that.
I
like
think
some
so.
Sort of embedded
5900 is VNC.
VNC. Thank you very much, guys. All right. So you can see there's been a little bit of a change in the last few. 5900's been bumped up 4 places since last week. So significantly more, but still not one of the top contenders for scanning. Now we have most sources probing, which again is slightly different. Most sources probing means how many individual machines have an interest in this and not the full volume of scans. 445 is at the top this week, followed by TCP, 23 TCP Telnet, a little bit of ICMP in there, 80 and 8080 are our web ports. 27015, I believe, is related to gaming in some way. So that may just be an increase in gaming traffic. Skipping over ICMP again. 16470, I believe, is still related to zero access. It's one of those handful of high ports that it likes to use. And then 8081 is yet another potential web proxy port or web service port. Looking at the Recon index for this week, this is actually a 30-day view. You can see in this last bit here that we have a small drop off in the number of sources scanning overall, but a significant increase in the number of probes. So we've got fewer machines scanning, but they're more interested or more aggressive in what they're doing. Just interesting to note.